Hi, this is Ryan Willett. I pierce at Precision Body Arts in Nashua, New Hampshire, and my friend Brian is on the Skype call with me. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Moeller, and I pierce at the Boston Tattoo Company in Somerville, Massachusetts, in the greater area of Boston.
So we're going to try to record a series of short podcasts for you, and I've decided that we're going to call it the Piercing Wizard Podcast, because that's what I like to call myself, because I'm pretentious. So Brian wants to talk about trends that he sees with piercing, past trends that have, impacted the industry maybe positively or negatively, and where we would like to see trends continue to go in the body piercing industry. So, Brian, you wanted to talk about conch piercings.
With a lot of the newer styles of jewelry, especially with like clusters and large ornate gold pieces and stuff like that, they have been outfitted in multiple piercings, but I feel like the conch is a little bit underrated. And I mean, there's a lot we've been doing, with whether it's like a ring with a captive or just a C ring going around it or just like a straight piece. There's a lot of really awesome things you can do with a conch, or like just like triple pieces with threadless ends. And I really think that it's a way more versatile area that we can do a lot more with.
I don't know if that's a regional thing. Maybe if it just hasn't caught on in Boston, or if it's maybe not as popular on the internet, but I do a fair amount of conch piercings because I feel like I nudge people towards it. But I'd say, I don't know if it's the same for you, but the number one thing I always get from people, like let's say when there was the big trend with the triple forward helix, people would come in and they maybe didn't have a great ear for it. So I'd say, oh, hey, if you want a triple, you have a great conch, we could do something in there. And almost 100% of people would always go, oh, no, not the conch. Like, that would hurt so bad. And
yeah.
I don't know why, but do you feel like they just think that that's a more painful piercing for some reason?
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's more, I guess, of the location, because I get the same exact reaction with a lot of people, and immediately they kind of like back off, cringe, and pinch that spot, and are like, oh, no, that's going to hurt. And it's like, that's thinner than other parts of your ear, and sometimes, and, thinner than a tragus, and
I get how people can be apprehensive towards it, because if you squeeze that area, for the people listening who aren't body piercers and aren't super familiar with the anatomy, the conch is the inner ear, that kind of cup-shaped kind of area.
Big old bowl.
And, sorry?
I'd say a big old bowl area, kind of.
Big old bowl area in your ear, basically. So you have the tragus, the little nub that's in front of the ear canal. I think a lot of people know that. So the conch piercing would just be, past that big cup area. And if you pinch that area, you can usually feel kind of a thick ridge on the center of the conch, and that's basically the crux of the helix. Not to get too technical, but the piercer name for that would be the Daith, Daith, however you want to pronounce it. That ridge kind of extends into the conch, and I think if people pinch that exact spot, they'll feel something thick. So they would assume that, the piercing's going to kill. But, I'd say a lot of times that's not where the actual conch piercing is placed. It can be higher or lower, and you have a solid 3/4 of an inch of space that you can put almost anything you want. And you can get away with really big jewelry there, So if I have like a larger piece that someone wanted for like, for their helix or some other spot that's maybe not, anatomically a great idea, then I'd say, oh, hey, if you really love that jewelry, you could put it in your conch, and that would be a great centerpiece for your ear. And I think people open up to it a little bit more like that, but it's definitely not a piercing where as many people walk through the door saying, I want my conch pierced, or I want a conch project. It's usually, that's what we get to when they say, I want this thing that's maybe not anatomically viable for my ear. What do you think when you get that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Very rarely I'll get someone who legit wants a conch. Oftentimes, though, I do push it based on, if I have a really large end in my case that they're like, oh, where can I put this? No one ever brings a picture of a conch from Pinterest in, like, ever. I never have that. This is probably a side note topic, but you ever find that like the trends that do get popular, for some reason the photo quality most of the time is really terrible, but it's like the same picture from everybody?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was definitely the triple forward helix black and white picture from Pinterest that Chrissy Scholl posted, years ago, and I'm pretty sure
it probably has
every single body piercer has seen that picture at least once in their career.
Did you ever get that one? It's like black and gray. It's a rook piercing with a CZ top, but it's a very like lower like quality, like digitally, like the way it prints out.
No, I haven't gotten that one. Really, what I try to do is whenever people, I get the same interaction, and I don't want to just say girls because it's not all females that come in for the cooler like ear piercings. I just say that that's the majority of my clients coincidentally, but a lot of women come in. And if they pull out their cell phone and they say, oh, I want to get this thing, and they start, like, staring at their phone, and then I'll just kind of be like, oh, the triple forward helix, like, right here. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, you've heard of that? And it's like, yeah, I've done that once or twice.
I look like a psychic. Yeah, I do the same thing. It's like, wait, I guess it's this. And then they're like, wow, you're awesome. Like, no, it's popular.
Yeah, but it's cool because you don't want to kill someone's enthusiasm when they walk through the door and they're like, "Oh, I want to get this thing and it's going to be awesome and this guy's never seen it before, so I have to show him this picture so he knows what we're talking about." Like, I feel like you can do a disservice to your clients by being like, "Oh yeah, that's a triple forward helix. We do it, 5 times a day, da 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 da," because that kind of kills it for them, And I had something really similar to that recently, okay, so do you say Daith or do you say Doth?
I used to say Daith for years, and now I say Doth. But
I know that Doth is going to be like the piercer snob correct version of it, but if a client walks through the door and they say Daith, 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 I kind of feel like at that point that's what the piercing is called.
Well, I agree and disagree because then there's also the multiple of whatever bites there might be out there, spider bite.
Yeah, okay, those ones, yeah, but like maybe not so much today. A couple of years ago when the bites, double lip piercings were more popular, maybe there were some people where you'd just be like, oh, yeah, I'll do your angel bites, but I would prefer, blah, 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 blah. But I'd say that the biggest thing is in the 90s when it was Lebret or Lebre. And I'm pretty sure every piercer, experienced piercer anyway, knew that it was Lebret. But a lot of clients would say Lebre. So, you would have that conversation and be like, well, it's not a French word. It's got hard T at the end. It's Lebret. I don't want to do that with what I call Daith piercings because I feel like I'm doing so many of them that if I say, well, it's actually pronounced Doth because da-da-da-da-da, I think people are going to be more annoyed at that. So I just let them say Daith. And, that's usually what I refer to it because that's what it looks like it would be pronounced. Phonetically, it looks like it's Daith. And I get, you don't want to disrespect people who created or really pushed that piercing towards the forefront and experimented with it and named it and called it the Doth. But I think at a certain point, you have to kind of just go with your clientele. And I'm sure there are some piercers listening to that and they're like cringing and they're thinking I'm an idiot for it. But I just go with it.
You know what though? I was saying, Sarvis Berry actually made a really good point one time about gauges and the term gauges versus plugs and tunnels. And he's like, if he has someone coming in willing to buy, jewelry, and it's like, yeah, I want to see gauges. I want all the gauges. And he's like, yeah, cool, dude. Let me show you my sick gauges. Like, why crush that person's, why thwart them from buying from you?
Yeah, I get that. And that's kind of the point that I'm coming back to the long way around is about the Daith phenomenon. Daith, Doth, we'll say it however we want to say it, whatever. But the Doth phenomenon over the last few weeks and months about it, potentially curing migraines. So I'm hoping that most piercers at this point aren't advertising it for that reason because, there's no scientific or medical reason, but do you really want to crush a client's enthusiasm? So you have to kind of walk that fine line where you have to, I feel like it's your responsibility. If someone comes in and says, oh, I want to get the migraine piercing, I feel like it's our responsibility as a piercer to say, well, there's really no scientific proof that it will make any difference for a migraine, but I'd be happy to do it for you. We do them very often. We have all these nice pieces of jewelry. I feel like it's a disservice to the clients to say, oh, there's a 0% chance. It's never going to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, I think the power of placebo is something you really want to think about. If a person, whether they have migraines or not, if they're going into it thinking this will maybe help with my headache, you're not doing them any harm by performing that piercing. As long as you're not lying to them and saying, oh, yeah, totally, you'll never have a migraine again. I feel like as long as you're saying, well, there's really no proof to that, but I would be happy to sell you this gorgeous piece of jewelry that's properly sterilized and properly installed, and it's going to heal great, and you're going to love the look of it. And then maybe, the next day if they don't have a headache, they can say, oh, thank you, body piercing. You helped my headache. But, it's really important to walk that fine line of not misrepresenting what a piercing is capable of doing for someone therapeutically.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a few clients come in and asking over the phone or just in person about, how true this is. And oftentimes, I just tell them full disclosure, hey, there's no proof of this. We can totally do it for you. At the very least, no harm in trying. And half the time we're like, you know what? I'm at the last resort, because oftentimes the migraine thing, people are just desperate, and those things suck. They absolutely.
Part of me thinks though, culturally, what is it that makes so many people have such crippling headaches that they have to turn to body piercing? Part of me just thinks hey, you know what?
Electronics.
Drink this bottle of water and your headache will probably go away, or maybe don't have whatever stress is, but we're not there for that. That's not what we're there for, but, we're definitely not there to say what we do can cure some sort of a medical condition or something like that, so I get it, and I'm more than happy, and I'm really psyched that people would even look at body piercing that way. 20 or 30 years ago, no one would ever say that even body piercing in general was healthy, let alone therapeutic. They would look at it and say oh, there's something wrong with you. You want to stick a needle through you. Now things have changed so much with the industry that it's hey, did you see that migraine piercing going around on Facebook? Come on and get it with me, Mom, or, Aunt Judy, or I'll bring my daughter in for it. All these different things. It's really interesting seeing how body piercing has become accepted, and it's entirely because of fashion trends, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just saying, one thing I do with those clients, though, that are trying to get it for that purpose, I always just tell them, hey, keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. If it works, awesome. And next person that comes in is well, I have one or two people that say it worked, and I have one or two people that say it didn't. And
yeah, I don't. And at the same time, where I'll never tell a client yes, this will cure your problem, I never want to say 100% you will have zero therapeutic effect from this. So it's I basically just I give them that one line. There's no scientific proof, but here's all this great jewelry. Take a look at it. But if there were any results, if some university out there or some, medical website wants to do a study on it, more power to them, great. I'll be the first person to post it on my website touting it. But for now, I think it's got to be the power of persuasion. If they want to convince themselves that there'll be a difference, great for them. But, I don't want to sell it that way. So that's been a great trend. But what do you think has been your least favorite trend from body piercing in the last couple of years?
Well, throughout the years, there's the fashion type trends that seem to catch on, and then there are the shock factor type trends. In the 90s, tongue piercings were the craziest thing in the world, and fast forward, we're here in 2016, everyone's oh yeah, I totally have that. It's no longer as crazy as it is. And
where'd you go?
Real. I'm trying to be the shocking piercing. I'd say horizontal tongue piercings are when I see all the time or get requests for that I turn down. It's honestly not a good idea. And
well, I think at this point a lot of people, experienced piercers, are going to realize that the horizontal tongue piercing, but I want to try to keep it more on ear piercings. For me, some people call it the MIDI, which drives me insane because that's just that name is like nails on a chalkboard to me. But piercing the helix at the middle point of the ear has become super popular lately, and I feel like it looks simple, but it's pretty difficult to heal because people are going to sleep on that, they're going to bump it, it's going to get irritated all the time. Do you feel like you're getting an increase in people asking for that specific placement?
Definitely there, and just second earlobe piercing or doubles, same thing, nails on the chalkboard when I hear that.
Doubles,
yeah. I want my doubles. I'm double what? Double.
Yeah, double trouble, boil and bubble.
But yeah.
All right, so that's going to bring us pretty close to our time limit for this one. So we're going to continue this probably in a future recording, but for now, I'd say pay attention to piercingwizardpodcast.tumblr.com, and we're going to get some more audio files up for you as soon as possible. So this is Ryan Willett. My website is precisionbodyarts.com, and my speaking buddy is Brian. Go ahead and give him your website, Brian.
My website is ipokeholes.com.
Cool. All right. Thanks for talking to me, Brian. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you much.